Have you ever thought what would happen if you didn't have a job and only had the place where you live to make some money from? Or maybe you thought that you would simply love to work from home, or that you would like to have an extra income without a big initial investment. Well, if you have a home with a backyard and a basement, you're in luck. Tannery and leatherworking shop. A tannery is a great idea for turning low-cost animal skins, fresh from the slaughterhouse, to expensive leather. The acquisition of skins can be done, depending on the system on which butchers operate in each country, possibly through a butcher. I know that here in Greece, butchers basically buy the live animals and they take care of the visit to the slaughterhouse, which means that they are left with the skins. They usually have to travel quite a bit to sell the skins to a huge commercial tannery for very little money. A couple of euros or dollars for pig skins and quite a bit more, but not too much, for cow skins. This means that if one was to talk with the local butcher, he would be more than happy to skip the trip to the leather factory and drop the leathers at someone's house instead. So you don't even have to go anywhere to obtain cheap leather. Now, all in all, tanning is usually a smelly business. So it is preferable to do this if you don't have neighbors or if your neighbors cannot smell very well. Just kidding. You might need to start slow and humble, and then ask them if they were at any point annoyed by the smell. If there is a problem after a specific volume of leather being tanned, you can adjust to the highest possible tolerance volume. Another thing you can do to mitigate the effect of the smell is to plant fragrant plants all around your backyard, which will mask the smell and increase your capacity of tanning leather without disturbing the neighborhood. The ingredients you will need for tanning the leather are generally pretty cheap. The hardest part is the work. But it is very rewarding financially, since you will be left with something that you would normally pay a lot of money to buy, and you will further increase the value of this product by setting up a leather workshop in the basement. The return of the tiny initial investment for a few skins, a cheap leatherworking set, some makeshift tanning frames, and a few chemicals, or not, depending on the method, is extremely profitable. Now, leatherworking is an art, but not one that cannot be learned easily with a little effort and patience. Luckily, there are videos all over the internet for leatherworking techniques, and even though some have expensive leather sewing machines and other equipment, it is really not necessary for a beginning workshop. A basic leatherworking toolset shouldn't cost more than 100 euros or dollars and is fine to do just about anything with. For example, instead of using a sewing machine to sew, you can just take a little more time to punch holes in the leather with punches or with a spiked roller, depending on the thickness of the leather and of the thread or lace, and then hand sew. With such techniques, you can skip the need for expensive equipment until you can afford it. The biggest difficulty would be creating a product that can sell itself easily. The best approach to this would be finding a niche, such as, for example, medieval period clothes or protective HEMA items or role-playing equipment. There are people who will buy that stuff to go to medieval or Renaissance festivals. There are people who are playing live-action role-playing. There are reenactors. There are HEMA competitors. There are people who want them for some carnival or a theatrical play. And generally, you may be surprised at how many people will order your stuff, especially since there is almost no quality competition. The only one I know who makes quality items like that is an extremely bad professional and overall shady twat in Canada who sells in Etsy and eBay and has stolen lots of money from many, including myself. And it is a sad state of affairs that there is no alternative online. You can also specialize in tactical belts, holsters, vests with 1 million pockets, as this is also a niche that has many people who would buy a beautiful and practical item in a heartbeat, even though they are very unlikely to ever go to war with that, or at all. But I really think that leather is such a miracle material for a craftsman looking to make a living. What will really give you the edge even over potential competition is that you will be buying something that costs a few bucks and turn an enormous profit simply because your establishment allowed you to take a few more steps to skip the very expensive step of buying the ready leather, which is what everybody else will have to do. Generally, leather offers the ability to form so many products that if you have a good imagination and live in an area where you will not have much of a problem doing this, you are sitting on a potential gold mine. Thanks for watching.